Earlier today, I spoke to a simply delightful couple from Watchet in God's Own county of Somerset, who live on one of the most potholed roads in the United Kingdom. After repeatedly raising the issue with the local authorities, along with many other residents on the street, the council refused and suggested the residents should try and fix the potholes themselves. This would be potty in any scenario, but the couple I spoke to, the Nicholses, are 101 and 92 years old. The council claimed because it is a public right-of-way, it isn't necessarily its responsibility to fix it. But the street has many elderly residents and the potholes pose a significant risk. So without further ado, here was my discussion with the Nicholses earlier today.
Mrs. Nicholls, thank you so much for joining me to talk about the way you've been treated by Somerset Council. Can you tell me exactly what happened?
Well, it's not a question of exactly what happened. We live in a little private road marked unauthorised vehicles. There's five little bungalows here. None of us are aware, according to our deeds, that we're responsible for this road. And so we want the council to come and fix the potholes. I don't know if you've seen any pictures of them yet, but they are disgusting. There's 21 potholes in a short distance of probably about 50 yards. Sheila's very concerned about it because, as you know, she's 101, coming up 102, and dead scared to go out there. And so I would like you to know, on behalf of our and the rest of the street, why aren't these potholes being fixed?
And that's a very important question. And the council suggested that you should fix the potholes yourself. I imagine the elegant lady sitting next to you has no experience of fixing potholes in her 101 years of life.
Exactly. Sheila, look at that man in there, Mr. Rees-Bog. Tell him how frightened you are to go out the road.
I'm very frightened. I'm an old lady, and I would fall over very easily.
It seems so unfair that the council is expecting people of your age to fix the road yourselves when they have a responsibility for maintaining paths and highways in Somerset.
That's right. So, as we've got the opportunity to speak to you, I can only say to you on behalf of our neighbours, what can we do if they keep putting us off and not giving us silly answers? Silly answers like, fill them yourself, when it's not our responsibility. There is street lighting in the road, there is gas mains in the road, there are water mains in the road, and sewage in the road. Are we expected to fix that as well?
Well, you'll have to borrow one of those yellow jackets from George Osborne when you go out to mend it.
Well, we won't be going out to mend it, Mr. Rees-Mogg. We won't be doing it. To us, there's always a funny side to everything, but this is getting beyond a joke now, as far as we are concerned. What's going to happen?
I mean, it's the council responsibility, and what seems to me so important is that you should be able to maintain your independence by being able to go out, but that everyone knows that falls are the greatest risk to older people, and therefore having 21 potholes in a short stretch of road is just so dangerous for you. So I understand exactly why Mrs. Nicholls is so worried about going out and potentially falling.
Well, local press have been talking about it, and other people have been talking about it. And the latest we've seen from the council in print is that the ownership of the road is complex.
I wonder if Mrs. Nicholls might like to say anything about how this limits her ability to go out and therefore restricts her movement.
Yes, you tell him, Sheila. Tell that man in that little hole there, tell him how far you can get down the road without me. Nowhere.
Nowhere.
How do we go out?
You look after me, or put me on a bike.
I'm dotted in the car. We take the car to the front door, and you get in. And even where you get in, by our steps, there's a huge pothole.
I mean, the council really ought to do something about it, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you, because sometimes councils respond when they get lots of embarrassing publicity and they feel forced to do things. So I hope this will help persuade them to do what they ought to have done in the first place.
We've had 6 injuries in the road we know of, and 2 of those people have been hospitalised, one for 3 or 4 days because of a fall in a pothole. Could be us. It's frightening.
You're doing exactly the right thing in getting publicity for this, because now the council looks uncaring and ridiculous asking a 101-year-old lady to mend a pothole, and that ought to be pushing them into acting to help. So I would encourage you to do other interviews to maintain the news around this important story.
Well, thank you very much. What Mr. Rees-Mogg just told us is to get in touch with our Member of Parliament and keep the campaign of what we're doing in the public eye.
That's absolutely right, and I hope that will succeed, but it is the council ultimately that has to do it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you very